the Samsung Galaxy A12. Now, admittedly, it's been a while since I explored the budget side of the smartphone market, and I don't know if that makes me sound like a bit of a snob, but there was some reasons why I started buying flagship phones. That being said, the Samsung Galaxy A12 has impressed me and somewhat underwhelmed me. So let's take a deep dive into the Galaxy A12 in this review and unboxing and see if it's the budget smartphone you should be spending your money on in 2021. Stay tuned. What's up guys, welcome back to Take It Easy. So the Samsung Galaxy A12, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, but a kind of fun one. So let's start with the unboxing. A couple of things that jumped out at me straight away. There is a wall plug charger included in the box, yay! Then something else which I thought had kind of gone extinct now, wired 3.5mm jack earphones. I mean, wow, but they also kind of suck. But I guess it's nice they included them. They do have a microphone on them, which is nice. And if I think back several years from now, they are tons better than what you used to get with smartphones. Now, wall plugs and chargers aside, the Galaxy A12 itself really impressed me. Immediately I was shocked at just how big it was, and then the camera arrangement on the back looked like something seen on a more flagship phone. And we will do a camera test for the Samsung Galaxy A12 later on in the video. Of course, the Galaxy A12 is going for around £150, and I actually got this one for £140 on Amazon, so naturally the back of the phone is plastic. I'd love to see glass, but I certainly wouldn't expect it at this price point. And I have to admit, I do like the rugged feel to it. So a few other things about the phone itself before we move on. The back has this nice textured, grippy back, which gives it a nice rugged feel, as I mentioned. I am a fan of that. The volume button is on the right side, along with the power button, which also doubles as a fingerprint scanner. Something that I do think is a big selling point for this phone, as fingerprint scanners were something that was sort of reserved for more flagship / mid-range phones. It's not an under-display fingerprint scanner, but again, I wouldn't really expect it to be on a phone at this price point. I think it's really nice that they included a fingerprint scanner at all. Really nice to see being brought down to the budget smartphone lineup. Now, quickly moving back to the A12's camera setup, it is a pretty huge camera bump. But surprisingly, when I use it on a surface, it's actually not rocking around too much. So not really too bad there. But I guess the icing on the cake here is the audio jack. Something else I thought had long since gone, and I guess it's quite a nice touch from Samsung there. Lastly, we do have a front-facing camera in that sort of V shape. A little distracting, but you quickly get used to it. Then it does have a mighty large chin, which to be honest, I wasn't really a fan of. It does make the phone a lot larger than it necessarily needs to be. All in all though, excellent design for such a cheap phone. Only other thing I'd mention is that it's really quite weighty, so you really don't want to be dropping this on your face in the evening. Or any time for that matter. So ever since I saw it, I've been itching to do a camera test with the Galaxy A12. And I was really excited, but then I got shot down. I feel like the quad camera setup on the Galaxy A12 was just a bit for show. Don't get me wrong, the camera specs do sound good. We have a 5MP ultra-wide camera, a 2MP macro lens, 48MP main camera, and a 2MP depth camera. They all sound good on paper, but when you actually get down to testing them, I don't know what you think, but I'm not particularly blown away by them. Even the 48MP didn't look that great. Colours looked very washed out, and there is this horrible sharpening on the images which really doesn't do it any justice. Macro lens is a nice touch though. In the right situation you can get a nice shot, but nothing that will blow you away again. Now I do sound kind of negative here, and for the most part I am, but really when you think about it, the utility that you get out of these cameras isn't too bad for a budget phone. And I know I keep repeating myself by saying for a budget phone, but it is actually at quite a low price point, and for what you get as a package, it's really not that bad at all. Just having a macro lens and a wide angle lens and a normal lens to choose from really does give you some nice options with this phone. So it's going to be perfect for Snapchat and anything like that, or just documenting your daily life. Now, unfortunately, things don't get much better when we get down to the video. There's absolutely no stabilization when it comes to video recording, which makes videos look absolutely horrible if you're on the move. That being said, 1080p 30fps, that's not bad at all. Some would say that that is quite bad, but I would say it's not half bad for a phone at this price point. But again, the video quality isn't going to blow you away, much like the photography. So my advice on the camera front is try and stretch your budget a bit. Again, if you're looking for something that's more geared to a creative setup, possibly even something like the Pixel 4a, and potentially go down that route for much better video and picture quality. Now let's get back to the display. So here we have a 1.65-inch full rectangle LCD display with rounded corners with a resolution of 720 by 1600 or HD plus if you like. Now the screen actually looks good and it feels good, especially when you're looking at it indoors. But when you get outside, it's not quite doing it for me. And that is made worse by the viewing angles. I did pick up that you really have to be staring directly at this thing to get a good all-round experience. Again, and I will say it again, you do have to take in the A12's price point into consideration here. I actually think despite its drawbacks, it's a really nice screen to have on a budget phone. Again, tons better than what budget phones would have shipped with 3 to 4 years ago. All in all, it will be a nice screen for watching movies and videos so long as you're not outdoors on a sunny day, then you might actually struggle with it. Now, the thing that really drove me away from the budget side of the smartphone market was their UI and how choppy they felt. More often than not, they'd get really laggy and really slow very quickly. And the Galaxy A12's kind of changed my mind on that. It's running on One UI 3.1 using a MediaTek MT6765 Helio P35 to drive the phone, and to be honest, it's really not all that bad. I haven't really noticed any lagging, it certainly doesn't feel slow, and that will be thanks to the 3GB of onboard RAM that you get with this model. And I should mention the 32GB internal storage, which can be expanded up to 128GB via microSD card. There is also a 4GB model with 64GB of storage if you need a little bit more space, and even a 6GB version with 128GB of storage. For a lot of you, if you are looking for a budget phone though, I do think that the 3GB of RAM will be enough for you if you're just looking for a phone. I think it's safe to say that the Galaxy A12 goes past the point of basic functions, but it's not, say, a Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Now, whilst we're talking about the UI, just before we finish up, I want to quickly talk about gaming. So to test this, I downloaded Asphalt 9, which to be fair is a pretty graphic intensive game for a mobile device. And I have to say, it actually ran a lot better than I thought it would. It's certainly nothing in comparison to, say, my Note 10 Plus again, and nor would I expect it to be, but the game does run fine. Every now and then there was a slight glitch, and I have to admit the loading times were quite long. But really, if the phone can handle this game, I'm pretty sure it's going to handle a lot of other mobile games too. That being said, when it comes to things like Fortnite Mobile and other similar games, I think you may struggle if you're sort of a serious competitive player. So bear that in mind when you're picking your phone. Lastly, the media. So when watching videos, as I mentioned earlier, on the display, it's actually quite pleasant. But what I haven't talked about yet is the speakers. So they are rear-facing speakers, but they actually get quite loud. They don't quite have the bass to them that I've heard in other phones, but they're certainly going to be fine for most use cases. So when you're watching your favorite YouTuber, and if you don't have one yet, you can always subscribe to me, you're going to be able to hear them quite nicely. Probably recommend to people if they can get their hands on one. Stay tuned and let's talk about it some more. So guys, that was the Samsung Galaxy A12. As always, let me know in the comment section what you thought of it. I know in my review I sounded fairly negative, but really, honestly, it has actually impressed me. And I think for anyone looking for a phone at this price point, it's a great buy. Just before you go, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.